Okay, so this is the Excalibur Q&A, asking questions that have been sent by the community about Excalibur.
Hello! Hi!
ZZZ asks, how long do you visualise the campaign being, and what proportion of FPS play or ship play will the game be?
Okay, how long will it be? We're talking probably around about 15 to 20 hours. That's our target for it. What proportion of FPS ship?
I mean, I think what the idea we're going for is that you can dip in and out of it as the player requires. So there are things you can solve as a person, or things you require a ship for. So as much as you want, really.
Yeah, that's it. If you wanted to, you could probably play 80% of it without even leaving the ship. Whereas if you wanted to, you could probably play 80% of it with leaving the ship. So it's up to you.
Okay. Major D would like to know, will the pacing of combat be the same as in Bridge Commander? He says he found it far too slow and therefore easily tiresome. Also, is the story linear, semi-linear, or non-linear, or is it completely procedural?
Right, okay, so to start off with, will the pacing be the same? It will not be you chasing around asteroids and tractoring them to save the planet. That was a little bit lame. There are going to be some places of the story where you define your own pace. So if you decide that you want to go back to the base and recharge, repair, that's up to you. If you decide that you want to go straight in and fight a battle, then that's up to you as well. But obviously one has an advantage over the other. So you define the pace to a large extent.
I mean, at the moment we're working out the branches of the storyline in there, so it's not going to be completely procedural because it's just we don't have time, and we want.
And also because it's not possible to put across a story.
Yeah, and we want some artistic constraint as well. I mean, the whole point of a game is to tell a story and a vision and paint a picture, and we want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Hope that answers your question.
Okay, SR71 and Triple Z would like to know, will our ship be the Excalibur for the entire campaign, or will you be able to fly other ships and in a shuttle?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You will not be restricted to just one ship. You will not be restricted to how many ships you have to take on a mission. You decide entirely. If you want to take just a shuttle, you can do. If you want to take the whole fleet, you can do. Entirely up to you.
If you could get a full Bondeo in space, you could drive around in that.
If you can capture it.
Fast.
A hardy crew.
Okay, this one's from Facebook. Stan Bennett would like to know, is there going to be Bridge Commander style model deformation so we can slice warbirds in half?
Absolutely, Stan, yes. This is one of the biggest challenges of the game, and you've seen games like The Force Unleashed use technologies like digital molecular matter and things like that, and we want to have, maybe not quite that level of detail, but where they would, say, have that kind of deformation working as a separate, almost in a separate physics engine, so it interacts differently with the environment. We want to be able to have that all completely integrated. So it is a big challenge, and it's something that we definitely have always agreed on that it's going to be like a core feature of the game.
Just very quickly as well, Bridge Commander had very kind of, what's the right word, sledgehammer style damage system. We want to be a little bit more subtle than that, so it won't be that you're going to see huge chunks ripped off the side of the saucer.
Not without a lot of damage.
Not without a lot of torpedoes hitting it at once, or a very big one. But yeah, mainly you're not going to see that kind of damage, but you will see damage, and it will be able to do that kind of stuff, but it'll be more subtle.
Yeah, another thing to point out there on that is we've looked at a lot of other systems for doing this, and a lot of different techniques and technologies, both from industry and academia, and what we're trying to do is find a balance which allows us to achieve what we want.
And will you see scorching? Yes.
Okay. Brendan Neff asks, are we going to be able to hop into a third-person view and fly the ship by hand, or are we restricted to giving commands from the bridge or through the UI?
The first one. You're going to be able to take over control of the ship, third person, and control it directly.
Hey. And you can also give commands.
Richard Purvis says that your interior pictures of Excalibur impressed him the most.
Yeah, Luke says thank you as well.
Yeah.
We will be able to walk around rooms like the ones in the pictures.
Yeah.
Yes, you will, and also entire decks, hopefully. However, those ones that you've seen in the pictures, they are not running in-game, so bear in mind that those are renders of things that we've prepared. So the lighting might not look quite the same as that.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully we'll get it looking
better.
better. Yeah.
Major D asks, will we be able to order our crew to manufacture torpedoes, shuttles, sandwiches, and other devices in large quantities to create stockpiles for emergencies? A sandwich emergency?
Sandwich emergency.
Well, we have those all the time.
Always. Will you be able to... Right, you are going to have a base of operations for the main part of the story, a little bit like Starbase 12 in Bridge Commander. That means that you are going to be able to do some of that stuff, but you're not going to be able to do it on the Excalibur herself. It's really the role of a base.
Okay. Zachary Brown asks, are there any thoughts on time travel by the team?
Yes.
We'll send you a sign.
We'll send you a sign in the past. You won't be born.
Uh,
So that means no.
Major D and First Swift ask, will the game universe be alive? And I'm shortening that question because it was quite long.
Okay, will
We've
it be?
been developing a true AI in secret for quite some time now, and we wanted to release it with the game. But we had this problem, it kept wanting to be called Skynet, and we couldn't stop
Trying
it.
to take over the world.
We had to delete
but
it.
seriously, I mean, obviously our resources are limited, so we have to make a kind of compensation between whether or not we've got ships that are always being monitored, or whether or not after a certain distance they just get regarded as a fleet, and then whether or not they just kind of randomly spawn.
It'll just be pseudo alive. So you'll have trade ships following trade routes. You'll have
And if you followed a trade ship as well, they wouldn't just
Yeah.
disappear or anything like that.
The other thing to mention is because a lot of the environments are going to be procedurally generated. In order to work out bot paths for those, we're using a technique whereby we can little animals that wander around actually help work out those paths and explore them. So
Will you be able to see those animals?
yeah, if you want, why not? Because if you're
Space
interested
animals.
in the technical side, Google ant colony optimization, and there's a fantastic set of body of work on that.
Okay, I'm going to skip a couple here. Major D asks, will the universe map be 3D, and will planets and other celestial bodies have true-to-life scale, and will planets be destructible?
Yes,
question.
yes, and not really a feature that we're aiming for, but there's no reason why not.
Okay.
Carry on.
SR71, will the universe have set dimensions, or will it be endless?
Well, it's a procedurally generated universe, which basically means that beyond a certain point there won't be any content, but you can just keep on flying out if you want to.
Yeah,
Obviously,
we won't have prescribed anything to be in those places, but yeah, why not?
Cool.
Basically.
Okay, MR7 says, after seeing the model properties editor window in the last deferred lighting video, how much of the game will be able to be modded from within?
Well, yeah, this is something we've both been pushing quite hard. We,
go on.
we want to be able to integrate these things very tightly into the game as well. So what you see is what you get. So yeah, definitely all of that will be from within. You'll have your position layouts and things like. Hey, Kathy. You'll have your position layouts and stuff like that. Your hard pointing. We all want to do in game again. The laying out of power conduits and stuff like that.
Yeah, so all the tools will be in the game already, so you'll just access that through a development mode.
Yeah.
Okay, Major D would like to ask, will players be able to add particle emitters to people, structures, land and ships in the game, or will
Yes.
they have to be modelled into meshes outside the game?
No, it's all done through the game, through a hardpoint system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Including details and decals as well.
Vorcha says, what will piloting the ships be like? Will it be like Bridge Commander, Starfleet Commander, or a totally different style?
Well, I would say it's going to be a lot like Bridge Commander in terms of the fact that it's WASD, but obviously it's a lot more physical in terms of using Newtonian physics, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the other thing that's worth mentioning is for shuttles and stuff, I'd really like to explore a freelancer style control for fighters. So you've got an option there for the lighter craft.
Yeah, and in fact, I think if people look in the ship movement video, it's kind of everything's not balanced, but it kind of gives you an idea of how the
How the thing's
physics
gonna move.
will be moving the ships and
Yeah.
how ships can roll around and all sorts of stuff.
So if you're coming from Bridge Commander, you're going to have to get used to real world almost.
Okay, and a few people asked, how moddable will our ships be in the game? Will there be choices for upgrades between missions, and will these upgrades change the look of the ships?
Right, we've been discussing this somewhat today. I mean, the way that I see it working, and this isn't the be-all and end-all, but the way that I see it working is that we'll have things done in refits and variants. So, in other words, if you have a particular variant of a ship which has got a certain type of weapon and it looks different, then you'll be able to select that ship. What you won't be able to do is put on tattoos. You won't be able to select separate systems and plug them in and buy them as an upgrade individually. But I mean, the engine can handle that. So
It's just not what we want in our artistic vision.
generally, you don't see that kind of customization on Starfleet ships. It tends to be that they are refitted to a certain standard. So you will have lots of choice within those refits, but you will be able to pick one.
Bearing in mind, this is talking about the campaign, and in free play mode, there's nothing to stop you modding in to be able to go and steal apart from the ball cube and bolt it into your hard point. What we're talking
Okay,
about
I'm just going to grab
campaign.
2 more questions here because we need to bring this to a wrap. Has it been decided whether or not there's going to be multiplayer yet? That's from Ryan Watkin.
It has been decided that we are not going to focus on it as something that has to be in the final game. but we do quite like the idea of having it in there. It's something that may happen. It depends how hard it is, basically.
Okay, in terms of system requirements, Luke Dronfield asks, if I cannot run the Nano FX viewer, does this mean I will not be able to play Excalibur?
John?
Yeah, pretty much. Nano's viewer is a very good example of like what it'll be running. So if you can get a system that runs the Nano FX viewer, you're almost guaranteed to be able to run Excalibur when it comes out. That said, none of this is final yet. We haven't made any decisions that are concrete about target platforms and stuff like that. So there's no reason to worry. And by the time we actually get to a point where we're ready to release this thing, we'll have a much clearer idea. And hardware, software, whichever computer you have under your desk or on top of your desk may have changed. So.
Okay. Well, there are some other questions we've got here, but unfortunately we've run out of time for today. But we're going to try and make this a regular kind of thing that we try to do.
Yep.
With webcams or somehow.
Some amazing graphic technology.
So, thank you very much for doing the Q&A, and everybody stay tuned, keep an eye on the new, fresh-looking website for more updates in the future.
Thank you all very much.